Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex reporting in live for the last time from LA for Marvel Avengers Endgame. I know you guys saw the Facebook live stream. You can let me know what you think. I already read a bunch of comments and reactions. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. I'll be making a reaction on it later when I get back to Toronto. But before I leave, I have to cover these patch notes because they have landed. So I can't waste any time. Let's dive right into what we're getting. So just apologize for the, more awkward than usual audio. I apologize for the visuals and the kind of the bad lighting here. But this is really the important stuff that matters here, not really my face. So we are getting 18 new uniforms for Avengers Endgame, but for the majority of the uniforms, there is an interesting kind of caveat. There is an asterisk and there is an exception, and these are not your normal uniforms. So I'll explain the way that the uniforms work, and then we'll go into the details of each uniform. So the way that it works for all of the characters that have a duplicate team uniform, and I'm talking about those quantum uniforms that Captain America, Iron Man, Nebula, Black Widow, Hulk, War Machine, Rocket Raccoon, and Ant-Man have. So we're omitting from this list, of course, Thanos, and we're also omitting RONIN from this list. So every other character here that has two uniforms, the way that it works is when you purchase the first uniform, and they will all cost 1,050 uniforms except Ant-Man's, when you purchase the first uniform, it will automatically make the second uniform discounted by 40%. Now, a 40% discount is nice because it reduces this 1050 crystal cost down to, it reduces it down to 1050 from 1750 if it's off sale. However, I believe if it's on a uniform sale, so if the regular uniform sale is on, let's say the day after this update lands and you purchase Nebula's Avengers Endgame uniform, and then you're thinking about purchasing Nebula's team suit, that 1750 will be reduced once to 1050, but then it will be reduced again, or actually, in fact, it should stack. The two 40% discounts should stack, and it should be an 80% discount, reducing the team suit, or vice versa, the other suit, to 350 crystals. So if I'm understanding the math correctly, it should make all of the second uniforms that you purchase, if you want to purchase them when there's a uniform sale, 350 crystals. If not, they will still be discounted at 630 crystals. If it's two separate 40% discounts that are applied, it'll drop the second uniform's cost to 630 crystals. If it's one cumulative discount during a uniform sale, 40% from having the first synergy bonus, 40% from the uniform sale, the general uniform discount, then it'll be 350 like Doctor Strange when he got his Infinity War uniform. So we'll have to monitor that and see which one it is, but either way, you're never going to pay full cost for both uniforms. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is I'm not going to be discussing these team suit uniforms because they have the exact same skills and the exact same uniform effects, the effects over here, as the other quantum suits or the other kind of endgame suits. So we're just going to cover the first set. Additionally, there is a bit more of a discount for Ant-Man's suits, specifically his team suit and his endgame suit, presumably because he didn't get very much of a change between his movie about 8 months ago and now. Also, yes, there is a small little CTP of Rage hidden right here. I don't think that means you get a CTP of Rage when you purchase Ant-Man's uniform. I think it's just a graphical error. So that one will be discounted a little bit more to 750. However, in addition to all of that, before we get into the uniforms, there's so much information, guys. We are missing the uniform for Thor. It's not here. There is no uniform listed at all for Thor. So I can assume that either for some reason Thor is in the key art and he's not getting a uniform at all, or there is the possibility that there is a part 2 for Thor and possibly for some other characters. Perhaps Captain Marvel will get a second uniform. Perhaps there are others, in fact. But these are more heavy Endgame movie spoilers, so they're not being put in this first version or in this kind of part 1. And it would be the same thing that happened with Infinity War. They didn't want to spoil a lot of those uniforms, and so that's why, for example, Thor's uniform in Infinity War was actually saved until after the movie came out, because it spoils him getting, Stormbreaker. It spoils that whole path, that whole portion of the movie where he goes and he has it forged. and so on and so forth. However, let's take a look at what we're getting. So Thanos, of course, the big bad, is getting a new uniform. He's getting an enhancement to his existing uniform bonuses. He'll now have a 50%. He'll have a flat 20% decrease to all damage from everybody, but an additional 30% decrease to damage from superheroes. So he's rocking a 50% reduction to damage that comes to him from heroes. Now here it says increases damage dealt to superhero types by 20%. On the live stream, I noticed that it was 50%, so I don't know if that's a typo or not, but it also changes the effect of his skill Eternal Deviant, so we'll have to see just how much stronger he gets, but that is a passive effect, and so it's going to be interesting to see how much stronger that makes him. We've got Captain America. Now, basically, all of these uniform effects, I don't really want to dwell too much on them, but they're all buffs. None of them are worse or exactly the same. All of them are slightly better in some way or another. So in Cap's case, it's a 50% chance when hit rather than 45%, and it also has, you know, all of these buffs, including incapacitation for 6 seconds, not just the immunity. So it adds a whole bunch of 6-second buffs plus incapacitation removal during this being triggered. For Iron Man, he's getting an additional 2% refresh. Instead of the shield refreshing 3% every second, it's now going to refresh 5%, and instead of 5% all defense with the super armor, he's going to get 20% all defense. Nebula, of course, never had a uniform, so these are all new effects. Black Widow, a pretty sizable increase. Instead of being something that triggers when she dodges, it's just an automatic flat buff that's applied to her, which is much, much better, and it also buffs Graceful Dancer passive. Ronin also is a brand new uniform, so we don't know, but they are changing the effect of precision aim, guys. The 2-meter buff is going to change. Hulk's uniform changes Enraged, which is the same thing that Ragnarok does. It's very important to see what those buffs will be, because that's the entire foundation of his healing effect. So seeing how much more he heals by will be very interesting. War Machine is getting a much better buff. Instead of when getting hit, it's when attacking, so this is much better for his survivability, and it triggers a 15% all attack bonus for 7 seconds. Much better buff for him. Rocket's getting a 10% ignore defense on top of his 25% all attack, and then Ant-Man is getting a 15% buff to all attack instead of 5%, and he's also getting buffs to both his 4-star passive and his tier 2 passive, so very exciting stuff. Literally all of the characters listed here are getting flat buffs to their existing Infinity War uniform bonuses, or they're getting brand new uniforms in the case of Hawkeye, Hulk, and Nebula. So I'm very excited. It seems that these uniforms are all worth it from the, you know, from the stat bonuses themselves and from what skill bonuses I was able to see on the skill preview in the live stream, but we'll have to see until I have them in my hands before I can make my final decision. There is a bit more detail about Ant-Man's suit being discounted temporarily, so just for you Super Ant-Man fans out there, you may want to pick up his uniform before the 7th of May, because then it won't be discounted anymore after that. It's kind of like a one-time discount. We're also getting more details about the uniform synergy system. Now, this system was pretty negatively received by the community, but I honestly think that we reacted too negatively at first, and I myself also reacted negatively, so I take responsibility for it. The way that the synergy system works, it's actually quite fair. And I know I can't believe I'm saying this, but yes, it's quite fair. The uniforms themselves, the synergy uniforms, so take, for example, Captain America's Endgame uniform and Captain America's Team Suit Quantum uniform, they share all of their bonuses. So they share the uniform rank. If one is rare, the other one will be rare. If you use a mega mythic ticket on one, the other one will immediately become mythic as well. They share the same uniform options, so you won't have to buy different uniforms for each one to satisfy those different options. So if you have 5 out of 5 options for the team suit, you will also have 5 out of 5 options for the Infinity War Endgame suit. That's super fair. It's basically just looks alone. They will also share uniform XP, so you don't even have to level both uniforms. This is amazing. It's literally just the small additional crystal cost. Now, it's definitely not a small cost if you're considering all of the uniforms. You know, I'm talking close to 3,000 crystals if it's the smaller price, and then I'm talking close to 6,000 crystals if it's the more expensive cost that I quoted, which I'm not sure of whether it's, you know, 2 40% discounts that are stacked into an 80% discount, or two separate 40% discounts. However, knowing that it's only the crystal cost and nothing else that you need to worry about for these uniforms, and also knowing that these synergy bonuses are not going to be game breaking. I mean, a 5% all attack, all defense bonus for having the synergy effect is not the end of the world. You know, my Captain America and your Captain America, the difference being only the synergy bonus, really not going to make that much of a difference. Your comic cards, Uru, Obelisk, those things will make a world of a difference compared to the synergy bonus. So it's not a necessary part of building the character. It may be necessary for growth score. So for those of you that are going to try to get number 1 for specific characters, you definitely need to look out for this. But for everybody else, and especially for those, you know, just sort of semi-competitive players, I really don't think this is going to be a negative thing at all. And in fact, it's actually better for people who prefer certain looks. If you prefer the quantum suits for certain characters, but the endgame suits for other characters, you have complete and utter flexibility because the uniforms are exactly the same. So I honestly think this is like the best way they could have handled this situation. And I honestly think it's nice to give people more choice. Yeah, there's an additional crystal cost, but you don't technically need to get those additional uniforms because it's only a 5% bonus, and it's only for a few hundred crystals. So I honestly think this is perfectly fine, unless I'm completely misunderstanding the system. So there we go. We have it kind of explained. And there we have the synergy bonuses for all of these uniforms, and it's very straightforward, and it opens the door, interestingly enough, to future synergies where they are not the same uniform. Imagine Nadia Van Dyne and Hope Van Dyne both get a uniform, and then those uniforms synergize with each other. That would be really, really cool. Or perhaps Thor and Thor Jane Foster, perhaps Ghost Rider and Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider. I think this is a really cool addition to the uniform system that adds a little bit of an extra layer of complexity, but also simplicity, and I do think it actually is quite nice. We're also getting a potential enhancement for both Nebula and Hawkeye, so they will be able to go to level 70, gear 25. Super important for both of these characters. Watch out Nebula for competition with Minerva, possibly. We have Thanos' tier 3 skill here. Looks amazing. Stats are, I would say they're so-so. The skill effects, we've got 10 seconds of penetration and invincibility with remove all debuffs for 10 seconds. The remove all debuffs for 10 seconds is actually important because it sounds as though he cannot be debuffed for those 10 seconds. So you may be able to get away with using a debuff lead when you have tier 3 Thanos, if you're just trying to protect tier 3 Thanos. It'll be an interesting thing to kind of keep track of, but we've never seen that long of a debuff removal except for on abilities like Wasp's tier 2 or leaderships like Jean Grey. So we'll definitely have to keep track of that, but it seems to be an interesting skill effect. It could be PvP only, but it could also be monstrous for PvE. We saw it had like 350 hits. We're also getting a new legendary battle. This is probably where the majority of the community's negative reaction is going right now. You do get a free 6-star War Machine from this legendary battle, so if you were going to use a 6-star selector or a tier 2 selector on War Machine, stop, don't do it. You'll get him for free as soon as the update goes live, as long as you don't have a 6-star War Machine yet. If yours is 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, or 1 stars, or 0 stars, you are in luck. The normal mode rewards require you to have Captain America, War Machine, and Iron Man team suits. So if you really aren't looking forward to investing in those, or if you're only wanting to invest in a couple of the team suits, you may want to consider those, because the normal mode of the legendary battle is free for everyone, and you'll be able to clean up with these free rewards here, which is mostly like type enhancement kits, or sorry, not type enhancement kits, biometrics, XP, uniform upgrade kits, that's what I meant to say, and just kind of general upgrade items, nothing too special. Really the only good reward from the legendary battle comes from the extreme mode, which does have an entry cost of 2,500 crystals, and it also has the CTP of Rage. However, the big disappointment here is that Netmarble did not listen to the community, and they didn't take our advice. We really disliked having to get Captain Marvel to type 6 rank enhancement. People thought it's just a big RNG bullshit fest because you have to play Giant Boss Raid and you don't know how many times you need to play before you get a 6-star Universal Enhancement Kit. And then when you go to enhance Captain Marvel, it can fail, and it will fail 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a row, or more. So it's RNG squared. It's double RNG, and that's really the worst thing you can do, because it basically promises you that unless you get extremely lucky, you will waste your time. Whether you're wasting a week or 2 or 3 or 4, there is no progression, because you could spend all that energy in GBR, get all those rank 6 type enhancements if you're godly lucky, and then still flush them all down the toilet, failing time and time again to rank it up from 5 to 6, and then that would mean you're still not getting a CTP. So I do think that if Netmarble is going to continue doing these kinds of things, of course I'm talking about own type enhancement stage 6 Thanos, CTP of Rage. If they are going to keep doing these things, they need to make one of 2 changes. They either need to make the rank 6 type enhancement easier to obtain from GBR with some sort of guaranteed system. You know, after 50 completions of GBR, you will get 1 6-star of each type: combat, speed, blast, universal, or whatever, or 1 6-star of one type that you choose, or 1 6-star of a type that's chosen on a day, so you can just hold it at 49 and wait for the 50th day and wait for the 50th clear on a specific day. Or they need to let us enhance and combine the lower starred enhancements. I've got over 1,000 universal 1-star type enhancement kits. I have 1 6-star enhancement kit. Why can't I combine my 1 stars into 2 stars into 3 stars? This is a system that was introduced with ISO, and it was repeated with comic cards, and repeated with obelisks, and repeated with Uru, and then it just suddenly stopped with type enhancement. It doesn't make any sense. I don't want to harp on this too much more, because I will make a separate video about it, but it is disappointing to see them do this. However, for the rest of the extreme mode rewards, you do need 6 different team suits. So again, if you're not looking to buy the team suits, it makes this extreme legendary battle even less worth it. You need Black Widow, Nebula, Rocket, Ant-Man, Iron Man, and Hulk. And Hulk. So you're gonna need a lot. No, not Hulk. 5. Iron Man. Sorry, just 5, not 6. Rocket, Iron Man, Ant-Man, Nebula, and Black Widow. I misspoke. The only repeated one, I believe, is Iron Man and War Machine from the normal mode and the extreme mode. So not really worth it overall, in my opinion. We also have the new game mode world event. There's not a lot of information about it, but we do see that there are going to be 4 openings per day, so that's really good. There's multiple different time frames, and it's open for 1 hour each time, so it's a total of 4 hours a day spread out, and you'll be able to play a maximum of 2 times per day, so you don't have to worry about getting in all of your attempts or getting in like tons of attempts in that 1 hour. So it's nice, it's not too stressful. But what will basically happen is that you'll be assigned a team, and then you'll have to go in with that team. The interesting thing is the scoring system. So it looks kind of like ABX, however, when you get hit and when you take damage, it actually lowers your score. So being able to manually dodge, being able to maneuver, being able to iframe defensively is actually going to increase your score exponentially, and really is going to make a huge difference on your overall score rather than just damage alone. So this is a really great game mode because it doesn't just reward characters who are completely tanked out to the max. It will also reward characters who have, let's say, very high dodge. It also reward players who have very good timing and very good ability to kind of chain skills together to either keep all the enemies crowd controlled or keep themselves out of danger. It'll reward players who can kite and kind of run around successfully or run in specific circular patterns to dodge attacks. I think this is a really great sign for the longevity of the game mode, and hopefully it'll be very fun. I believe the total time on the game mode is only 3 minutes, so it won't be it won't be too stressful. You're not going to be there for 10 minutes sweating it out, fingers itching and shaking like it is with GBR. It'll be a little bit shorter of a time frame, but it'll still be like an action-packed 3 minutes. So I'm very excited for the world event mode. I'm gonna have to play it to really get an opinion on it, but it should be exciting, and then it kind of breaks things down for you. Why do you need to know about the world event mode is because of the new growth content for the agent level. So this is a pretty interesting thing that they've introduced in addition to your shield level. So this is not kind of going from 70 up to 80. This is something separate, and this is kind of like a skill. This is kind of like a stat page in an RPG. If you guys ever played Diablo 2, every time you level up, you'll get a certain number of skill points that you can put into either your attack, your HP, your intelligence, and other sort of main stats. And that's basically what the agent level is. You'll level up your agent level through two main ways, from either leveling up your hero badge or leveling up your agent badge. Your hero badge is leveled up by getting more characters ranked up or upgraded. So for veteran accounts, you'll immediately have your agent level spike because you'll have a very high hero badge, and I expect mine to spike as well. But the agent badge is only upgraded through either using the agent badges that you get from World Event, or by sacrificing other upgrade material like ISO, Uru, or custom gear. So if you have a lot of that saved up, or if you don't want to use that specifically to build up characters, you can sacrifice it to upgrade and give XP to your agent level. What happens when you get your agent level and your, what was it called, hero badge, your hero level up? Well, you will get basically agent points, and as you can see, the agent points are used kind of like skill points in an RPG, where you can give bonuses that will apply to all of your characters, just like comic cards. So I think this is going to become a super important, probably one of the most important aspects of every player's account, because it's going to matter. You know, you can add a whole bunch of all attack, and this will be a really good way for accounts that perhaps have very defensive cards. They have a lot of skill cooldown, ignore defense and HP, but they don't have a lot of all attack, so they can just keep stacking all attack using their agent skill points to kind of balance out their stats. Vice versa, I'm really happy with my cards. I have a lot of attack stats. I don't have a lot of HP, man. I would love to have more max HP for my Wolverine and my Deadpool, so I definitely want to use this for that. But you can also use it to increase your gold acquisition. If you're just money, you're kind of gold hungry, which I understand, and I am as well. You can also use it to increase character XP, which is probably a good early game strategy for players who can then reallocate their stats later for something else. And then the other one is increases the item acquisition chance. This is interesting. I'm not sure exactly what this means, but I definitely want to test this out. If this is a way that we can get more type enhancement kits from GBR, for example, or other things, it'll be very interesting to track. You'll also be able to reset your agent bonus for a certain cost of gold. I imagine it's going to be expensive, so be careful and kind of, you know, tread carefully here. Let people with more gold like me experiment with it first and figure it out. But I think this is a very exciting way to allow us to beef up our accounts in a clever way that integrates a game mode. So I'm actually super happy with this. I love RPG elements in games. I love RPGs, so I honestly, this is right up my alley. This is like cheesecake. I just can't get enough. Yeah, straight up. They're also replacing the hero's journey with Shield Academy. I can't really say much about this because they don't really give you a lot of information, but I will be opening a brand new account to go through the game and test out this Shield Academy and see how good it is. They've also made some changes to the content status board to let you know things about Shadowland and kind of just fluff stuff. They've also made some actual gameplay changes to Alliance Battle Extreme. It seems as though they've made it harder. When the Frost Beast roars from now on, when the update lands, the Frost Beast will have a damage reduction for a certain amount of time. So that will lower your score because the damage reduction will reduce the damage it receives, and your score is based on the damage that you do. This could have an implication by making the contrast between a CTP of Energy and a CTP of Rage more pronounced, because the CTP of Rage ignores the boss's defense, and this could be typed as boss defense. Or it could have no impact and it could punish equally the CTP of Rage and the CTP of Energy, or it could have some other intended effects that I can't foresee yet. But that was just something that I wanted to clear up for you guys, or not clear up for you guys, express. That was an idea that I wanted to express because it did occur to me. They've also done something really awesome. They've added a shit ton of new uniforms that are available by purchasing with gold, which is amazing, especially for me, because I've been avoiding purchasing, you know, Blade's uniform, Ghost Rider's uniform. There's quite a few uniforms on this list that I've been dodging for a long time, and now I get them for free, basically. So this is amazing. You should pick up as many of these uniforms as you can, because they're uniform options for other uniforms, and actually some of them are not even that bad. You know, if you desperately need a villain Hulk, World War Hulk, automatically free. I know the Secret Wars one is free, but it's just another example. But there's actually quite a lot here. I mean, Elsa Bloodstone's uniform is actually not that bad, especially if you don't have her Monsters Unleashed uniform. It's good enough. And some of these other ones, Destroyer Prometheus, honestly not that bad. So it's pretty nice that they're doing this to a lot of uniforms. They are also reducing the tier 1 to tier 2 growth enhancements. So I'm talking, 1 to 6 star rank up, gear rank ups from 5 to 20, or 5 to 20, mastery, and the materials to tier 2 the character by 50% for all of these characters. That means instead of needing 630 bios to get Hulk to 6 stars, you're going to need half of that. You're only going to need 315. You're also only going to need 75 bios if you wanted tier 2 Hulk instead of 150. This is really good, not only because some of these characters are good and some of these characters are getting reworked like Nebula, but also because some of these characters are not farmable like Hulk. So if you're just coming into Marvel Future Fighter, or if you just started playing a few months ago and you've saved up all these Hulk bios and you haven't ranked them up yet, don't rank him up, because you'll be able to save all these bios and you'll only use half as many to get him to tier 2 to get his endgame uniform. So this is actually a really, really great way to even further accelerate the catch-up of players who want these characters, a lot of whom are tied to, directly or indirectly, Endgame, by getting them to tier 2 a lot faster. And Wasp especially is going to help newer and intermediate players get into PvP a lot more smoothly. You can now also request tier 2 materials, including X-Men materials, from the Alliance support. So that's pretty nice. Adding a lot of stuff is pretty cool. So yeah, I think honestly overall this is one of the best updates we've ever seen. We have new game mode content, we have new account content, which is rare. We have new stuff, we have stuff for new players, we have stuff for veterans, we got tons of uniforms, super cool looks for characters. We got one kind of big mistake, but honestly no update is perfect, right? It's impossible to be perfect. I'm very happy. I'm obviously, a lot of this is still speculation. I have to get my hands on it first, but let me know what you guys think. Hit me up in the comments, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Discord, be live on Twitch with me, because I will be there all the time, as soon as possible, every day, as soon as this baby lands. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.